Hi, guys, and welcome to the first ever episode of the Teens Talk Football podcast. And here we talk about the Premier League returning after the international break. Enjoy. The first topic is, how has the Premier League gone so far for you?
Well, I believe that the Premier League is just so good. Like after a long break in the summer, it's just so nice that it's back. It's just something to watch, especially with fans as well. Fans just make it so much better. Like I feel like last year it was so dead. Like how there was just no fans. Yeah. It's like now that there are fans, you can go and watch the matches. It brings up new hype as well.
Yeah, so I remember watching there was a Chelsea Crystal Palace game at the beginning of the season, and then I think, what's his name? Trevor Chalobah scored on his debut, and he started crying, and then like all the fans started celebrating. Like those moments were like gone from last year.
Yeah, I know. It just
Probably
brings
the
that
moments I
emotion
miss.
out as well, and just
All the emotion comes out.
yeah, the fans
And I
just
think the Premier
erupt.
League started well. I think it's a good start. The transfer window, though, was definitely, I think, the best in our lifetime.
Yeah. Everyone thought that it would be such a dead transfer window because of Corona, the pandemic,
Yeah,
just like the clubs going bankrupt because they just don't have enough money, not making as much income. But quite surprisingly, like a lot of money has been spent. If you think like
I want to quickly just talk about it. What is your favorite transfer of the window? Like, what's been like most wow signing of the transfer
it's
window?
just gotta be Ronaldo going to Man United. Like who would have thought?
That is,
A lot of talk of him leaving. He was about to go to Man City, and then a quick change of plans, and he goes to his former club. And 3 days in, he has
amazing.
already broken the record shirt sales for Man United.
So they've been, I'd say, like also Messi leaving. That's a contender.
Yeah,
Then Lukaku to Chelsea. He's gonna do well there.
I think that was the
And then Kane not leaving.
best signing.
Kane not
That
leaving
was-
though.
That's great for Spurs
That was big.
man like me.
And then Daniel Levy though. He's so like he's one of the stubborn people I know, like you
World
hear in the
football.
media, but
Yeah,
exactly world football. But honestly, if he has something, if he has a target set, he's gonna commit 100% towards it.
yeah. But he has,
Yeah.
because of his stubbornness, he has missed out on a lot. Like, for example, Grealish
Yeah, he
a few
does.
years ago, 5 million. But that's how much he wanted. He was willing to give, but Aston Villa wanted 30. So that was very bad. But stuff like this, like Kane not budging with that 150 million budget, 150 million that he wanted.
Yeah. I want to talk about Jack Grealish because I want to like when I first looked at the Grealish signing, it's 100 million. I thought it's a bit too much for Grealish in my opinion. I think he's a great player, but I don't think he's worth 100 million. And it's the only like big signing they did. So I don't think, did they do any other signings? Maybe like small players, but he was like the only big signing. I think it was a pretty disappointing transfer window for City.
Yeah, I think they got one wrong there. I think 100 million on a player that they really didn't need that much. Obviously, he's a great player to have, but they haven't been playing with a striker for ages now. They're really struggling on that with Aguero leaving, Jesus getting injured, Ferran Torres isn't really a striker. I think Kane would definitely have been the best option. Even maybe at left back, they've had to play Zinchenko. We know what's happened to Mendy. So I'd say this is one of Man City's most disappointing transfer windows. But that being said, that's not really had an effect on them so far this year.
Yeah, I mean they did lose to Spurs though, and I'm not sure how big that will be because it's at the beginning of the season. I think it would be as big of a like game as if it was at the end of the season when like we get into the nitty gritty of the title race. I still think they're like Premier League favourites, obviously the Manchester City, but do I think they'll win the the Premier League, or we'll discuss later on in the show. I just want to talk about Tottenham, team you support. I want you to assess their transfer window, and then I want to see if they can like maybe squeeze into the top four, or like what are your predictions for this season?
Well, I think we personally had a great transfer window with the likes of Romero, who was arguably the best centre back in Italy. I also think with our other signings, just improving our squad depth. If you think like just getting rid of players and players coming in, I think we've had a great transfer window. You know, Kane didn't leave. I think
Kane
with the start
leaving
we've made
is
so far. I think one major issue, one big problem is when Mourinho left. I think we kind of got a poor man's Mourinho. Like, we could have got a better manager, but just things didn't work out. We were thinking we were going to get the Gattuso, then the fans didn't want him because of obvious reasons. And we've ended up getting Nuno, who plays a similar way to Mourinho with less experience and hasn't won a single title.
But to be fair, he has done. He's a good start. Tottenham 3 wins out of 3.
It has been a good start.
3-1-0s.
Why?
3-1-0s.
I don't think Spurs will get top 4 this season. I think there's just too many teams, too many better teams with just a lot more experience, and I just think we're just going to fall away. Like last year we were first and we fell away. It's just you can't keep getting consistent victories like this where we sit in, create a couple of chances, maybe score one wonder goal. Son and Kane carry every game. I just don't think, as shown and proven last year, that that's a consistent trait to have every game. You know, you can't keep that up. So
what I've learned is that you can't rely on like 1 or 2 players. It's just impossible in a team. You can't have players that can just carry you. And the Champions League final is the teams with the best squad depth that reach those like finals. And look at Man City winning the Carabao Cup 4 times in a row, like it's because of the squad depth. And I don't think Tottenham have that top. So I think their transfer window was okay to me. I thought like Emerson Royale, like I don't know who did he even play for Barcelona?
No, he was on loan at Real Betis.
Yeah. So he did okay. I've seen him looking at his stats, but Romero, he's a good centre back. But has he started the game yet?
No, because I think he's been injured and also had Corona as well. As in, he's not been allowed to play because of what's it called? He has to quarantine actually. Not he had Corona.
So what's your prediction then? Where are Spurs finishing the season?
So
my prediction is 5th.
As an optimistic Spurs fan, I'm gonna have to say 5th as well. But where I think realistically, I think 6th. I think definitely in the middle period is where we're one of our worst. That middle period is just where we fall back a bit. It's probably Kane's trademark time to get injured. And it's also when the players and fans, you could say, just get a bit bored of the football we play. And I just think that we do have good starts. I don't know if that's just because of the fans, or we just want to impress early on. The players want to start, but as the team progresses, I think there's just a bit of a downgrade. There's just a bit of a negativity about the way we play. If you think Davinson Sanchez and Dyer are definitely a bit shaky at defence, they can't really seem to play out from the back. When they get the ball, they just first thought is look up, let's try and clear it. So I think we just lose a lot of momentum. We don't really have the players to continue playing at good form. And I just think we're just going to fall back. And maybe towards the end, we might try and push. So I think we're going to get 5th.
Yeah, I do agree that I think middle stages, it will be like the tough part. Tottenham to navigate with and like the fans. I'm not sure if I don't think they enjoy their style of play, but they've got a decent front, good players. Kane, Son, Tanganga, he's looking quite good. Højbjerg, he had a good Euros. I think there's a few good players in there, and the reason I'm putting them 5th is that I think teams such as Leicester, they haven't had a great start. I think Arsenal will be there. Sorry, we're going to talk about them later. And then you've got West Ham's, the Aston Villas, but I still think Tottenham. I think they'll have a decent season. I don't think they'll win any trophies. Sorry, but I don't think you should be too ashamed with fifth or sixth. Getting Europa League, I think with the top four teams being so strong, I don't see them coming near top four.
Yeah, I agree. I think my top four's just got to be in no particular order. It's just got to be Chelsea, City, Man U, and Liverpool. Like, I just don't see any other team beating that. And also, I just feel like these like smaller teams, you would say, have just started to step up. If you think West Ham with like Antonio in one of the best form of his life, and you've got Leicester with Brendan Rodgers with all the experience he has, they're just performing really well. Not the best season, but you know they're going to bring it back. Aston Villa, I mean, I don't see Aston Villa up there again. I think Grealish was their heart and soul, and him being taken away, I don't think Ings is going to replace him. But yeah, there's just been a lot of smaller teams. Arsenal, I just don't see that. Like, we're going to talk about them later, but I just don't see them up there, to be honest. Not this season, at least.
I just want to say, Aston Villa did have a decent transfer window. They did get Ings, Leon Bailey, Emil Buendia. They did get a few good replacements, but like the question always remains: will they gel? The start of the season been pretty average. They did lose to Watford, and then
They're just Aston Villa.
So we're gonna go to the other side of North London, and we're gonna talk about Tottenham. We're gonna talk about Tottenham's rival, Arsenal. I want you to, as a Tottenham Spurs fan.
Well, I just believe they're in a bit of a crisis. Spent the most money this summer, but how many of those players do you think are world-class players? Probably zero. You think Ben White, future star, has he really performed this season? No. If you think before, when they bought Pepe, 72 million. Do you really think Pepe is worth 72 million? And you have these young stars like Smith Rowe, Saka. Realistically, which top 6 team are they getting into? Probably zero. Yeah. And I just think there's just the fans are just not just related to trust the process. That's how bad it's gone. And with this start so far, three games played, 3 losses, an embarrassing thrashing by Manchester City 5-0 at the start of the season. Brentford losing to a newly promoted team. It's not gone well for Arsenal so far. And do I think they'll put it back in the latter stage of the season? I think they'll get some form going. I think you don't see Arsenal in the bottom half. I just think they're gonna skyrocket a little bit, but I don't see them being a top 6 side. Maybe they might get into the top half.
I mean, I want to know your stance on Mikel Arteta. Do you think he's a good manager? Maybe there's going to be a bit of bias because you're a Spurs fan, but if you're just talking pure managerial, credentials, experience, and do you like Mikel Arteta as a manager?
I think he's just a good assistant manager, to be honest, as shown with Pep Guardiola. I think when Arsenal brought him in, they kind of thought he was Pep Guardiola. I also don't believe he's an Arsenal legend. He primarily played for Everton. As a manager for Arsenal, he has won 2 trophies, but what has he done, really? He's been backed. He definitely has been backed. Like a lot of Arsenal managers, if you think Unai Emery. I like the way he plays, you know? He wants good football. He wants good football to be played. He wants triangles. He wants quick passes, 2-touch football. But what I think he lacks is that experience and what to do under pressure situations when his team are really under the cosh, you know. he doesn't seem to getting these big decisions right. If you think when he's playing against these smaller teams and it's still 0-0, they've been dominating. He doesn't seem to be getting his team to get a winning goal, or just spreading some positivity, telling the players what to do. And if you think with their form at the back, you know, how many goals they've conceded, especially from set pieces or just on the counter attack, he doesn't seem to have a good enough system going. So do I think he'll get sacked? No, I think they'll back him this season, but I think he'll probably have another mediocre season, and I don't see him at Arsenal next year.
I mean, we are talking about Arsenal Football Club. You know, they were the invincible team in 2003 and 4. Where Arteta, I don't think he's a long-term future manager. Definitely not. I think he'll probably be sacked. My predictions are around December rather than the end of the season. That transfer window, though, they spent a lot of money, but the players they got, like, no one else wanted them. Like, if you think Tomiyasu, I didn't see any other clubs wanting to get him. Lokonga and Nuno Tavares, I've never heard of them before. And then Ben White, I think Smith Rowe is better than Odegaard, in my opinion. And then you have Ben White, 50 million. That's just overpriced. I mean, Sancho and Varane and Ronaldo are less than Arsenal's transfer window. Like Manchester United had a much better transfer window. Chelsea did, even City did. They all had better.
And the fact that Arsenal spent the most money is funny as well. That you're saying that they had the worst of the lot.
Yes. Yeah, it's just like, again, it just shows how funny this transfer window was. I mean, it was gonna go in the history books as like one of the best transfer windows of all time. I think Arsenal will get back though, because they're Arsenal, and I think they have a good, few young players. Saka, they've got Smith Rowe there, and then Tierney is not bad. I still think he's a bit overrated, in my opinion, because they've got like AFTV and stuff. They always like overhype their players and stuff. Like, we always think that Leno's like amazing, but they've got a few like really average players that you just need to go. Like what? Like their goalkeeper Aaron Ramsdale. Like, why would you need to spend that much money on like a reserve goalie? You got Leno.
I would say
stupidity.
I think Leno was on the verge of leaving, so I think they just wanted a replacement. But I also, because Leno hasn't left, I think that was a bad transfer. 30 million is a lot of money to waste that on a keeper when you could have got a much better player. So, like a player that they need as well. So, I think that was a bad signing.
Yeah, I think we should judge them when they're. I think it's fair. You should judge Arsenal when they get their, full players back, and then we'll see how they are going. Okay, so I just want to talk about your Premier League favourites now, and then I think there's going to be a really, really tight top 4 race, and I think I wouldn't be too surprised if anyone went. I think in my opinion, I think there's 3 that could really push on for the Premier League. This is definitely
going to be a tight title race, one that we haven't had in a long time. You think the last really tight one was probably back in the day, back in Alex Ferguson's day. That famous Aguero moment. I think that's been the tightest one in a long time. If you think, I'd say the top 3, a lot of people's top 3 probably would be Chelsea, United, City. I think anyone could go for it. And I would also put Liverpool as underdogs. You know how good they are with no injuries and things like that.
Yeah, I think Liverpool like the underdog status. I think they're gonna use it well. They get less pressure on them. I think they had more pressure last season to do well, but then they got their injuries, like Van Dijk, Joe Gomez. Then they had a good push at the end of the season.
Yeah, as shown, when they do have their players, they do well. When a couple of their players get injured, it goes wrong because of their squad depth. That's what I'm saying. If you look at the top 3 teams that I've put up there, they all have at least a couple of players in their position who you could say are very good players, some world-class players. If you look at Liverpool, they really don't have that squad depth. So that was definitely their downfall last season.
Yeah, I think that's the only like reason that they might like not win the Premier League. I think if they remain injury free and get really lucky with like Mane, Salah, what's his name?
Henderson,
Robertson.
yeah, Alexander-Arnold,
Yeah.
Van Dijk.
These the core of that team has to remain fit, and I just don't. Even with that, I don't think their like bench is good enough. And then when you're like, if you're 0-0 down, like 80th minute, who are you gonna put on? Who are you gonna bring on to win the match? I don't see anyone in that Liverpool.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. If you look at like Chelsea's bench or City's bench, they're just stacked. They have players, they have match-winning players on their bench, star players on their bench. Like the fact that you can put players like Mahrez on the bench or Foden on the bench and still have a top-quality team, or have Ake in the reserves. It's just crazy to think the squad depth. Or if you look at Chelsea, you have so many wingers. Like you have Pulisic, Mount, Ziyech, just so many. Even Werner can play, Havertz. They're just stacked. So just from any situation, you think, oh yeah, just come on, mate. You're top class player.
Yeah, definitely.
And Liverpool just don't have that. So that's why they're not in my top 3 to win. Who I think's going to win? I would say I think Chelsea are going to win this year. I think City, I think they're going to have a great season.
Yeah, you have to back the Blues, sure.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the season, I was like still a bit hesitant putting Chelsea because I don't want to jinx it, and I thought maybe Kane was going to go to Manchester City, and then he didn't go, and that's like brought a bit of relief. I think probably Chelsea fans are quite relieved that Kane didn't go Manchester City, because I think then City probably deserve to be favourites then. But now I think Chelsea would win the league, and then second would be Manchester City, and then third United. The only reason I'm not putting United second is just that I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is as good of a manager as Pep Guardiola. It's just Pep Guardiola is a different level, and to win the Premier League, you need to have like a really top class manager. I don't remember. There's like never been a Premier League team who's won that haven't had a good top class manager.
Once there has. If you think 2015, you know what I'm talking about?
I mean, I think you should give some respect to Claudio Ranieri. I think he's a good manager. I mean, he didn't like manage Chelsea before, like in the Rampage year, like 2003, 2004. I think he was an underrated manager. I think he was a good manager. Glad that he got sacked a season later, but I think he was still a top class manager.
So for my top 6, I think Liverpool 4th, Spurs 5th, as we've already talked about, and that 6th position that loads of teams are going to be challenging for that really one. I think it will be West Ham. So I don't think they're good enough a team to challenge for top 4, but I think they're a good enough team to get that 6th place. They have a lot of good players, and when their star players are on form, they are deadly. They can beat anyone.
Yeah, they've got a few really good Czech players. They signed what's his name?
Susek, Kufal.
There's a new Czech player.
Antonio, Cresswell. Yeah. All these players, so they do have a good team.
Yeah, they've got a good team. The only reason I'm a bit hesitant in putting West Ham 6th is that they have Europa League football, and this is like the point we're getting. Arsenal don't have any European football. They play once a week. They should it should be better for them. Like, it should be like much easier to like get a good Premier League table finish. But I don't see it right now for Arsenal. I don't see any like forward trajectory with Mikel Arteta. But I think he should get backed until his players return. and then who can really judge how Arsenal are going to do.
So who do you think will get 6th place?
I think I can't go anywhere. Like maybe if I had to do like a surprise 6th place, I would go for maybe Aston Villa as my surprise 6th place. I think they had a very good transfer window. I don't think they'll get 6th place, but I feel like if there was a surprise, it would be Aston Villa coming 6th.
Okay.
But I'm going to go for Leicester City as 6th because I've done it before. Brendan Rodgers, is a good manager. He's got a decent enough team. If he avoids an injury, I think he'd be pushing for 5th.
I think
alongside Tottenham.
Fofana was very, very bad news for them. Definitely one of their key players, and him being out definitely leaves some gaps in their defence, and probably one of the reasons why they are sitting in 9th, just with 2 wins, but with a smashing, a -1 goal difference. So.
Okay, now I want to move on. I want you to name me your best Premier League team so far this season from the first 3 games. We're gonna start in goal. So who has been best goalie so far in the Premier League?
I think Kasper Schmeichel. That'd be a bit like controversial, or you might disagree with me there. Yeah.
He did concede like 4 goals against West Ham.
Yeah, and I know that's what I'm saying. I know you might disagree with me there, but if you see the matches that they've played, the 3 matches that they've played have been hard, and there have been a lot of chances created. And if you see some of the saves he's made, like onto the post saves, really trying to keep his team in the game. And my second keeper, I know there should be one keeper, but I'd say one that's contested him is De Gea. I think a lot of people have been looking at him, saying how he should get dropped for Henderson. There's been a lot of pressure, especially with all the mistakes he's been making. After that World Cup for Spain and the Euros, not playing for them. A lot of people put him down and didn't expect him to start the season, but he's definitely proved all of the criticism wrong. He's been excellent so far, especially with that double save against Wolves.
Yeah, he is. He's probably like my surprise shout out. I thought you were gonna go for Hugo Lloris, 3 clean sheets.
Well,
where's he?
3 clean sheets. But you told me the best Premier League team so far, and in terms of a player rating, individual player. So he's been in all 3 games. He's got clean sheets, but he hasn't really had much to do. I'm talking about making really good saves and just putting everything on the line. That's why I've put De Gea and Kasper Schmeichel. Even though Kasper Schmeichel conceded a lot of goals against West Ham, a lot of them were not down to his fault. De Gea has been absolutely excellent, and that's why I put Kasper Schmeichel and De Gea on the same boat so far this season in goal.
If you had to choose one quickly, who would you choose? Just one for 11.
Probably De Gea, to be honest. More clean sheets.
Okay. I respect that. I think I would go for De Gea. I think he's been very good this season. Okay, now we go to the right back. We're going to go right to left. He's your right back. We're going to do 4-3-3 formation.
My right back's definitely got to be Alexander-Arnold for Liverpool. Already with a goal and assist to his name. I think he's been a star performer this season, really creating a lot of chances, and we're seeing him near back to his best. You think when Liverpool won the league and the year after where he got injured and got dropped from the England team, I think he's definitely made a comeback and he's starting to revive his career again.
Yeah, I think he's had a good start to the season. He was injured at the Euros, and he's played well, Alexander-Arnold. But I want your intake. How do you think quickly? How do you think? Do you see Alexander-Arnold as a midfielder, like Gareth Southgate tried to employ him as?
I think definitely defensively he's really not the best. I don't think that's one of his strengths. I think he does make a lot of mistakes. His positioning needs a bit of work. But as a midfielder, I don't think he'd be a good midfielder in Championship football. But if he's going to make the cut, I don't see him playing as a midfielder for England or for for any Premier League club.
Yeah, I didn't think it worked quite as well, but I think he has this talent to become a good midfielder. But with the star Liverpool player, like all the possession is down the wings. If you actually look at the numbers, Trent Alexander-Arnold has like a lot of the ball. Robertson has a lot of the ball. They actually have more like the midfielders. What they do is like try and receive the ball back and like play it down the width. They get their goals from the width as well. Sadio Mane and Mohamed
If you
Salah.
think
So-
Liverpool's season where they won it, Mane and Salah got the Golden Boot, and Robertson and Alexander-Arnold both got above 10 assists. So, that's definitely where they're the best at in terms of attacking play.
But so who are your two centre back pairings?
So my two centre-back pairs, so one of them's just got to be Dyer. But I think he's had
Yeah,
a
that's fair
very good
enough.
season so far. He's made a lot of blocks and he's definitely looked to be a bit more strong and just a bit more of a leader, in that back line. He's definitely kept out decent players like Rodon and Romero when he's been available. So I think he's been great so far. I think my other one has got to be Laporte. I think he didn't start last year because Stones had a great season with Diaz. I think Laporte has just shown what he's capable of and why he needs to start.
Okay, I would agree with you for Dyer, but instead of Laporte, I would go for Andreas Christensen. I think he's very underrated for a Chelsea centre back. I think he's been absolutely fantastic for us, and I think if you look, he's done very well in defence. He's kept Thiago Silva out central centre back position. Played well when he had to go to the width with 10 men down against Liverpool. I think Laporte also done very well. Manchester City.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're gonna go into the left back. There's one obvious person for me, and I'm gonna go for Marcos Alonso.
Yeah, I agree with you. Marcos Alonso, he's been really
Absolutely
good.
fantastic.
You could say left wing back, but
Yeah,
He's
he's
not doing
more of
that
a left wing
formation.
back for this formation.
Yeah.
put him.
I
Left
agree
back.
with you with Marcos Alonso. He's been great so far. And when you're keeping someone like Chilwell out of the team, then you've been doing well.
Yeah, now we're gonna go to the three centre midfielders.
Well, I think one person, he's just got to be there. Paul Pogba. He's been
Yeah.
very good this season.
Fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Especially the first game against Leeds. I
Yeah.
don't think he played well in the last game.
Yeah,
Found him a little
but
bit
you do
quiet.
have those off games. But that first
On the
game,
left
4
mid,
assists
I'd
to
put him
impose himself.
on the left mid, he was very good. So I'd definitely put him trying on the left hand side of the centre mid.
Okay.
Playing well, getting notes. Who is your DM? You need a DM.
My CDM, because I'm a Spurs fan, I've been watching their matches. It's just got to be Oliver Skip. I think he's been a great addition to
Oliver
the squad.
Skip, really?
Yeah. He's been a great addition to the squad. He was on loan, had a great season with Norwich. He was probably, I think he was their best player. They got voted for their best player that season where they won. So last season, to promote them. He's come back and he's just looked so settled in, You think for a youngster, they'd be a bit frenetic at the back there in a very key position. But he's taken everything really well and he hasn't made a mistake so far. He's kept players away of the likes of Ferran Torres, Sterling, from cutting in and just great interceptions. He kind of reminds me a bit, I know you might disagree, but a bit like Kante, Just he's young, he's quick, he's good passer of the ball, and he gets into very good positions as well.
I mean, okay. He's had a good season. It's a good start. I'm gonna go for Thomas Tuchel. I think he'd be very good for West Ham. I think he's played very well, done very well in his matches, and he's a very good DM. Played very well last season as well. So I'm gonna go for Thomas Tuchel. Now you're right centre midfield.
So my other midfielder would be Henderson. I think after that injury, he's come back to Liverpool and he's looked to be more like his old self,
That's
He's
an interesting
definitely been
choice.
a very, very, very good leader for them. And I just see him being one of the best players so far this season in midfield.
That's a very interesting choice. Henderson really come to my mind,
He
but
hasn't
I guess
caught the eye, but if you think last season where Liverpool really fell down a bit, they didn't really have a midfielder or a leader to manage them well, in games, and now they just look so set and composed and just ready, with Jordan Henderson in, they just look quite unstoppable in midfield. No team's gonna win the game in midfield against them, especially with Firmino back as well.
I think I would give a shout out to Gundogan. Has been absolutely fantastic once again. I think he's a very underrated player again. I think when City weren't doing that well last season, he propelled them toward the Premier League title.
Definitely had a breakthrough season for City last season, and he has definitely carried that form. I just don't think he's done quite enough so far.
Against Arsenal, he played very well.
Think the game where they lost against Spurs, that's the first game of the season. You want to come across good in that first game. I don't think he did well that first game. That's why he's not in my top 3.
Okay, into the forward players. Let's start with your right winger.
Well, my right winger is a guy who's been performing consistently every single year, and it's the main Liverpool man. It's the main man. It's Mo Salah.
Oh,
a fan favourite.
Really? Okay, that's interesting. So I wonder who you put you as your striker. So why did you put Mo Salah?
Because he's been scoring goals, doing what he does best, getting into good position. He's got a couple of assists as well. So yeah, Mo Salah will definitely be there for me.
Okay, I hope you put one other player here. So who is your left wing?
My left wing. Well, my left wing has definitely got to be Son. I think he scored 2 wonder goals. Okay. For Spurs, so he's definitely been key to getting them to the top of the table so far. He had a shaky start of the season, but that goal definitely has made him much better and just given him a lot more confidence to do what he does best, skilling players up, getting past players and slotting the ball in the back of the net. Yeah, so definitely Son.
He's a very clutch player. He gets the 1-0. He scores in the 1-0 wins.
Yeah.
Remember from history the 1-0 win and the Champions League against Manchester City, New Star Stadium, and then this time against Manchester City.
Wolves as well.
Yeah, Wolves. Watford.
Yeah, he's been good.
He's a clutch player. I like him. He's a very good player. But who's your striker? This is a tough decision. I hope you would go for this player. Wondering if we're on the same page. So your striker?
My striker would definitely be the guy who I'd say has been the best player in the season so far. I think you know who it is. It can't be anyone else.
Yeah, it can't be anyone else.
I think it's just got to be Mikel Antonio.
I mean, yeah, he should be in the team, but you're missing out one guy. Mason Greenwood.
I know.
Where is he?
Mason Greenwood. He's done well, but he scored goals when his team's not okay. That Wolves game, that was a class finish. But the other games, I know he's been in good form.
You can't not have Mason Greenwood. I was worried, you didn't put him in your right wing.
Salah's done better.
No way. You can't. You have to have Mason Greenwood. He's a Premier League nominee. Salah's not there. Have to put Mason Greenwood there. Controversial decision.
Okay. I just think Salah's made more of an impact at Liverpool.
Let's talk about Mikel Antonio. He's played well. 4 goals, leading the Golden Boot.
He's just been a beast up front for West Ham. So I definitely think he's been the best player so far this season. I think he's on one of his hot streaks, but he's probably going to stop soon, I'd say.
I think his consistency is
Yeah, he does go on these, every season. But it's just been a surprise. He started off really well. And he's just been excellent, really. That's why he's my best player of the season so far, after these 3 games.
Yeah, he's done very well. But seriously, not having Mason Greenwood.
Yeah. For me, Mason Greenwood, he obviously he scored goals, you know, 3 goals in 3 games. He scored in every game, but that's all he's done. If you think,
No,
that's
he
all
brought
he's
them
done.
against Wolves 0-0.
That was a great goal. I have to say, like out of
You have to-
nothing, he created
I
that.
think exactly. I would put him over Salah, my Premier League team so far. And now to end off this episode, I want you to name teams we should watch out for this season and 2 players we should look out for.
Well, the team I'll look out for in the bottom half would definitely be Wolverhampton Wanderers, known as Wolves. I think they've done really well so far, and it's not a good reflection where they are on the table, 18th, sitting at 0 points. I think they've been very unlucky against United and Spurs, 2 of the top 6. And they have looked solid in defence against the big teams. They just that one slip up, that one where they've just lost some concentration.
Yeah, I feel like they need a striker.
I think,
You know,
yeah, I
someone
do
just to-
believe. I think Jimenez, he's come back, but he doesn't look himself, does he? If you think he's just not really challenging for balls.
So
Yeah,
unfortunate.
I think they're a team to look out for, just to see where they end up.
And who are your 2 players to look
2
out for?
players. Well, Antonio started well, and you can't really write him off, to be honest. If you look at Jamie Vardy at the start of that Leicester season, he hasn't really done anything like that before, you know, and he scored 11 goals in a row. Leicester won the league. Antonio, 4 goals in 3 games, definitely a player to look out for. Another player to look out for, I would say, is definitely got to be Rudiger. I think he's been probably Chelsea's best defender.
Yeah, I think he's very
so far this
underrated. as
season.
well.
You would say Christensen, I would say Rudiger. I think if Chelsea are going to win,
Yeah, he's a beast, absolute beast,
yeah,
fantastic.
I think if Chelsea are going to win, he'll be a key performer.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Been a pleasure having you. Great chat. And then we're gonna conclude. Thank you guys for listening.
Okay, that's bye
and
from
we're
me.
gonna head off.